All right, welcome back here to the Xfinity Sports Report, your Colorado high school connection. Brian Roth back with you. Happy to be joined by Christian James of Rivals and the Colorado Prep Report. Christian, great having you.
Thank you for having me on today.
Of course, this past Wednesday was National Letter of Intent Day, National Signing Day. It's a holiday for a lot of high schools around the state of Colorado and around the nation. And Christian, let's talk about the class. About 70 high school football players signing scholarships to either D1 or D2. Was it a good class this year, this class of 2015?
I think it was okay overall. I think top heavy would be the best way to describe it. Avery Anderson, Eric Lee, Tim Lynott, all kids with the national offers, with the Oregons, the Arizona State, schools like that who are really going after them hard outside of just the Colorado area. I think outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot of those national names where, you know, there's no other Oregon offers, no other schools like that really going hard after these kids. So I think it was overall pretty solid, but top heavy and not with the depth that previous classes have had.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people look at those two defensive backs, and Eric Lee Jr. at Valor Christian, and then, of course, Avery Anderson at Pine Creek as two of the premier guys who you mentioned, both going to Nebraska. I'm not sure what CU fans think about that.
It's a tough blow just to see those kids leave out of state. Both of them seemed like they were going to go out of state. Lee had a connection with his father at Nebraska. He had worked there previously, so there's that connection. They wanted to play together is what they wanted to do. Anderson, who had previously been committed to Arizona State as a sophomore, opened up the process, ended up following Lee to Nebraska. Coaching change in Nebraska didn't change anything with Pelini leaving, Mike Riley taking over. Both of them decided they wanted to stay there, committed more towards the school than anything. They're actually early enrolled, so they'll have an opportunity to play there early, get a chance with the workouts this winter, spring ball this spring, and then hopefully see the field early at the college level.
Yeah, and Christian, we're seeing more and more of that, aren't we, with guys that are really committed to a place they want to play as a true freshman. And the best way to do that, and as we get moving forward, unless you're just a five-star guy that's a phenomenal talent, the best way to do that is enroll early. You're there spring ball, you're there working out all summer, and then you go into that fall camp and you're not a newbie, you're not a fish out of water.
Exactly, because you don't have that learning curve with the classes, with the weight training, with the conditioning, all the different things you do moving up to the college level. It gives those kids a heads up. And, you know, both of them obviously have been around enough college, you know, players, college coaches, that type of thing, where they'll know what's going on. But at the same time, it does give them an advantage, you know, hopefully to see the field early in Lincoln next year.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the in-state colleges and the Colorado kids that they had signed. The University of Colorado with head coach Mike McIntyre, they signed a class of 15 that included 4 from Colorado. You talk about Tim Lynott. He was the good get for them, wasn't he, out of the state?
Yep, I have him rated as our number 3 rated player in the state. Had the Oregons, had the Arizona State, schools like that. A great get, a good, you know, a good person to build your class around. I think that's what they did. CU overall went really line heavy with Dylan Middlemas out of Pomona, 6'5", 275-pound offensive tackle. Frank Uma out of Heritage, a 6'5", 285-pound defensive tackle, had been committed to CSU. With the coaching change and everything, kind of changed that up. And then you also have Alex Kinney out of Rocky Mountain. He connected on a 57-yard field goal this past year as a senior, 41-yard punt average per punt. He'll have an opportunity to compete with both in terms of punting and kicking. You know, he very well could see the field very early in Boulder.
Yeah, and we've had some pretty good kickers come out of the state of Colorado. You think just about last year, J.K. Scott from Mullen went down to Alabama and turned into a freshman All-American. So that's the University of Colorado. You mentioned the coaching change at Colorado State. Jim McElwain leaves to go to the University of Florida. Mike Bobo, offensive coordinator for a long time down at Georgia, comes into Colorado. They end up signing 4 kids in state, despite the fact that Bobo really had no ties to the state coming in.
I think they did a good job, especially, you know, keeping the kids committed who had been previously committed. You know, Salofi Nawa out of Rocky Mountain. He's a 6'5", 270-pound offensive tackle. You know, one of those kids, which is interesting that out of those 8 kids, 3 were from Rocky Mountain High School. And another one, Max McDonald, a 6'2", 210-pound linebacker out of Rocky Mountain is another one. Olabisi Johnson out of Bear Creek. He's going to have an opportunity to play on both sides of the ball. Could play wide receiver, could play safety, depending on where they need him. And then also Richard King, their 4th signee, is from Rangeview, a 6'5", 250-pound defensive end. He has really big size, the good frame that colleges are looking for. They came in hard after the new staff came in. He had the FCS, the Division I AA offers early on. New staff came in, offered him, and it was a pretty quick decision for him to pick the Rams.
Yeah, and Mike Bobo was talking about the STAR system afterwards and signing signing day, and we'll talk a little bit about that. I'm curious on how those stars are handed out. Quickly, let's get to the University of Wyoming. Craig Bohl, second-year head coach, really his first full recruiting class, and he came down to Colorado and got a couple pretty good ones, including Andrew Wingard from Ralston Valley.
Great athlete. He did a lot for Ralston Valley this past season. Really was the spark plug behind them in terms of their success offensively. Really did a lot of good things. He could play a few different positions just athletically from what he's done. Joseph Parker, another kid who's early enrolled. He's already up at Wyoming doing classes, doing workouts, things like that. He was a leading wide receiver for the Class 5A champions this past year at Cherry Creek. And then Kevin Prosser, a linebacker athlete out of Overland and Gateway. He played both schools the last 2 years. He was an early commitment and ended up signing with them this past year as well.
All right, so that's the 2015 class. Quickly, let's take a peek ahead. 2016, 2017, who are going to be the guys to watch out for?
Carlo Kemp in 2016 from Fairview is going to be the elite kid right now. He's our #1 kid 2016. He has early offers from CU, CSU, and Boise State. He's getting, he's a 6'4", 250-pound defensive end. Once those coaches can come visit this spring, they're going to give him an opportunity to get more offers. Going to blow up there. David Amola is a Cherry Creek defensive tackle. He just was offered by Colorado State. Jojo Doman out of Pine Creek. He's won the past 2 state titles. Has 3 offers from Kansas State, CSU, and CU are some of the main ones in 2016. Dylan McCaffrey is one to keep an eye on in 2017, and then Dante Spracco, and there's a number of other ones in 2017 that have potential there.
Yeah, Spracco, of course, from Glenwood Springs. Final thought, give us an idea how Rivals comes up with their ranking system.
National guys do it. Rob Cassidy is one of the ones that handles the West Coast, and then there's a number of other ones too that have an opportunity to see the video. They come out here to see games, talk to the guys, some of the other guys at the CU, the CSU sites. They help with the feedback, but they're the main ones that review the films, talk to the coaches, do the things along those lines.
Yeah, I'm curious, do you get any pushback from any of the parents or the coaches about where their kid is ranked?
I still have not received an email saying their kid was overrated at this point in the process yet.
You haven't?
Nope,
hey,
not
our
yet.
kid is too good. You have him ranked way too high. He's not that good. You haven't received that phone call.
I'm expecting it soon. So.
Hey, Christian, great job as always. Keep up the good work there at the Colorado Prep Report and with Rivals. Thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it today.
Okay, that's Christian James again with Rivals and Colorado Prep Report. You can view all of his work at coloradoprepreport.com. All right, we'll take another time out. When we come back, we'll get you back out to the hardwood and back out to the city. City matchup, TJ and Denver East highlights coming up next.